important has your support network been to help you get this nonprofit off the ground? You mentioned your mentors a little bit earlier, and now you've mentioned this partner that you have. Talk a little bit about how your support network has really been crucial in helping you get to the point where you are today.
Um, I don't even think I can put into words how much their support means and how much of a help it has been.
Mm-hmm.
Like I told you, my mentors on one aspect, my mentors have extremely, extremely helped me through various situations,
Mm-hmm.
from a mental aspect, like,
Yeah.
um, this is it's kind of crazy that you asked me this because I never really sat down and thought about it,
Mm-hmm.
but like I tell them all the time, I'm very appreciative of what they've done. And
Mm-hmm.
they'll be like, man, I'm just being me. I'm just bringing the best out of you. That's what they always say. I'm bringing the
Mm-hmm.
best out of you. And I appreciate that, like, to the utmost. Um, as far as my business partner goes, like, man, me and him have been through some situations to where without his support, I don't know what I would have done.
Yeah.
I can't say that I would be a business owner, I would be an entrepreneur today without his support.
I'm Julie B, and you're playing the game of leadership. Hey there, I'm Julie B, and this is the Game of Leadership. On this show, I interview athletes who have become entrepreneurs and business leaders about how their experience as an athlete has elevated their leadership in their businesses. Today's episode is special because I get to interview Dee Booker, the founder of Hezi Family Foundation and former collegiate basketball player for Johnson C. Smith University. I know we're going to have a great conversation and we're going to talk about leadership, business, and probably just a little bit about sports. So, Dee, welcome to the show. Thank you for being here today, and I'm looking forward to this interview.
Thank you for having me, Julie.
Yeah, absolutely. And I love that we have the Charlotte tie to Johnson C. Smith University. I think that's really cool that we have that tie going on. So that's a pretty neat. It's a small world, you know. That's what I always
It
say.
is. It
So,
is.
so Dee, let's kick it off with just give us some background about the Hezi Family Foundation, what it is, why you started it, and we'll just start the conversation there.
Okay. So the Hezi Family Foundation is a nonprofit organization. We are based out of here in Southern Florida. We also have branches over in North Carolina as well. Basically, I started this because I grew up in a single parent household. I was raised by my mom. I had an absent father. And as I got older, I mean, growing up, I really didn't realize the difference that makes. It's just,
Mm-hmm.
to me, it's just life. But as I got older, started to meet different people and experience different things, different cultures, I began to see the big role that it played. So I wanted to, number one, I guess people call it break the curse per se,
Mm-hmm.
or reverse the curse or whatever. And I myself have four children, three girls and one boy. I'm a very active dad, and I wanted to give that back to the community. I wanted, younger guys like myself who have families, who have multiple children, to know that we are needed in our kids' life just as much, if not more, than the mother.
Mm-hmm.
And we should show up every day, no matter what the issue is between both adults. It really doesn't bother the kids at all.
Yeah. And when did you start the foundation?
I started the foundation about a year and a half ago,
Okay.
so like probably 2021 we
Got it.
started up.
And what's your favorite part about being the leader and the founder of the Hezi Family Foundation?
Um, I guess just sharing my passion of parenthood. I get to meet different parents. We get to converse about different things that we're experiencing through our children. Um, you get a lot of different views. There's no guidebook to parenting. It's kind of
Yeah.
just one of those things. It's like, all right, so what are we going to experience today from this human being that I've created that's evolving every day? So um, I guess that's probably the best part, just sharing my passion with people in my community.
And it's interesting how that term community, even before we hit record, we were talking about community, how that term comes up. How do you see your foundation really support and foster the community that you want to see from parents for the kids that are in your neighborhoods?
Um, well, number one, I get a lot of rapport from my peers. You
Mm-hmm.
know, they're often telling me on how much I motivate them to be a better father. They always asking me for different resources and things on how I handle different situations. Um, Businesses, you know, they actually want to do partnership deals with my nonprofit. Obviously, they
Mm-hmm.
see, benefits in that and being able to reach a different market.
Yeah. So,
Yeah.
Dee, one thing that I love to ask athletes or former athletes who have, and I know you still play basketball, but playing in college and getting to that level, you had to have some level of just being a high achiever and being a really strong competitor. And I'm wondering, where have you seen that high achiever mentality or that competitiveness really help you with this foundation, really help you get it started and growing?
Um, I would say just the having the discipline to be self-led,
Mm.
kind of the discipline to go against the grain per se.
Mm-hmm.
Everyone's going right, you go left, and eventually you see a lot of people looking right, starting to look back left, like, oh wait, he's actually on to something, you
Mm-hmm.
know. Um, but in order to do that, you have to be very strong-willed, and you have to be very consistent. So I think those would be pretty much the traits
Yeah.
that would equate to, high achieving.
And how do you keep those going when you're having a hard day or hard week or hard month, because business owners really, we get into that sometimes. How do you continue to keep pushing forward and keep going even though, if you're hitting a wall?
Uh, well, first I take a deep breath. You know what I'm saying? I regather myself. I try and regather my thoughts, and I try and focus on what it is that I can control. So me being an, I don't want to say ex-athlete, but
Mhm. Yeah.
being my prior life was
Mhm.
athletics.
Mhm.
Um, One of the main things that I had to focus on is what I could control in the game of basketball.
Mm.
So whether it be scoring, whether it be setting a screen, whether it be just running back on defense,
Mhm.
in certain moments, the only thing that can help me is me. And I have to acknowledge that, see it for what it is, and then proceed. So I think once we become like overwhelmed from taking on too many things,
Yeah.
taking on too many new clients, or maybe you're just trying to gather as many leads as possible to see which one is the actual lead that's going to come through. You feel overwhelmed, you got to relax, take a deep breath.
Yeah.
Okay, what can I control? Well,
Yeah.
I know I can talk to this person directly face to face, so let me focus on that.
It's all about, there's so much that's out of our control as business owners and just as human beings. It really is, when you have that perspective to be able to focus on what you do have control over and focus on that. Those are usually the individuals who really go far in life, because they're able to let everything else go. They just focus on their daily behaviors, their daily actions to build up to that long term success. And it sounds like you are well on your way to that. So, Dee, one thing I want to ask you is kind of the flip side of that question. Do you ever find that your competitive spirit and that high achieving mentality has ever hurt you in business? Have you ever found that that is
Oh yeah,
something that's hit you has landed differently, let's say?
yeah. I think since I am, such a competitor, such
Mm-hmm.
high driven, like a lot of times I have to remind myself that I should not be in competition with another business
Mm.
as opposed to trying to be in relationship with them per se.
Mm.
Um, Meaning that if they're doing a certain thing and it's going well for them, obviously I should be motivated and inspired, but I shouldn't see it as competition. Like, okay, well, I gotta, my next event got to be this day before theirs, so I can, things like that.
Yeah.
I had to really work on that, because it's tough. It was tough for me. Like I just do not like losing whatsoever. I never have. My mother tells me that's one of the worst things she hates about me is like, bro, you're competitive about everything. You just want to win. You just want to win. You don't want to do anything for fun. You just want to win. I'm like, yeah, but that's fun. Winning is fun. you know?
Yeah,
And
it is. I mean, and especially when it's so different when you're playing sports versus running a business. Running a
right,
business it's an infinite game. That's the way that I usually say it. And Simon Sinek, he's preached that from a leadership perspective. But I find myself personally, I feel like I'm constantly competing against myself, and that is a problem for me. Like I'm probably my biggest competitor, and I don't know if you ever experience that as well.
I do. I prefer it that way. That's how I've learned to cope, So I
Yeah.
have to handle that energy to myself every morning. I do my mirror talk, quick little 5 minute. This is what we're getting ready to do today. This is how we're gonna go about this. You can do this, you can get through this, do my affirmations and
Yeah.
things like that. And I have to remind myself, like, hey, listen, the only person that's in this race is you and who you're looking at right now.
Hey, this is Julie B, and thank you for watching the Game of Leadership. I'm here with Dee Booker from the Hezi Family Foundation, and we were just talking about being a competitor and how that helps you in business and how it can also be a hindrance at some points. But Dee, you said something about doing your morning affirmations, and I love it when I talk to a business owner who has a morning routine of some sort. How crucial do you think that morning routine is for you and for your success?
It's very, very, very crucial. Um, so I was able to come in contact with some guys, some mentors of mine in
Mm-hmm.
my later years after college. And then they kind of really, gave me guidance on how important a daily schedule is. Like you're
Yeah.
saying, a morning ritual, So
Mm-hmm.
there's things typically before them, I will wake up, check my phone or just wake up, brush my teeth, and then go on about the day.
Mm-hmm.
Two things happened. I started having kids. So I could no longer just wake up and be about myself. And then two, like I said, I met these mentors of mine. And since then, every morning it's been wake up, make my kids lunch, get them up ready for school. We do our mirror talk. After our mirror talk, brush our teeth, make our bed. We got time to eat breakfast if we woke up on time. We got time to eat some breakfast, we eat
Yeah.
some breakfast. And then if not, we're out the door, we'll grab something, and boom, they're off to school. But I notice a difference in my whole energy once
Yeah.
the summertime comes
Yeah.
because now my schedule is different. I don't
Totally
have to
different.
make lunches. I don't necessarily have to wake the kids up unless they're going to camp. And so it's a shift in my morning energy.
Mm-hmm.
Like I don't really know how to describe it any other way than that. I don't feel as though I'm more sluggish, but it's like it might take me a little bit longer to get a certain thing done in the day as opposed to when I'm in my regular routine.
Yeah. I think that's really common. I think the whole back to school part of being a parent. I don't have kids, but I have a lot. I mean, a lot of friends that have kids, and I see them go through this shift of it's a hard transition, but it's one that they're thankful for. Not necessarily because their kids are not with them all the time, or at home a lot more, but it's just that there's much more structure that's hard to it's hard to maintain that when when there's like a temporary interruption to the schedule, and it's summer, and I think that's totally the norm right now. A lot of business owners are going through that and thankful for that school is
Mhm.
getting back in session.
Back in session now, it frees up more time. You can meet more clients, you can network
Yeah.
more, do more things for your business. Not that you can't with your kids, especially with my business, it's kind of more beneficial for me to have my kids because it's about promoting positive fatherhood.
Yeah, you're
But
like,
this,
example, here we go.
like here I am in the flesh.
That's right. That's right. So, D, one thing I really love to talk with business owners and entrepreneurs about are some of their past, let's call them mistakes. I don't call them failures anymore, but just some missteps that they have made. And you're fairly early on into running a business. I say that as somebody who's been doing it for 15 years. But what in the past, since you've started your business, is there anything that you look back and say, I should have done that one differently? Like if I had another chance, I'd do that one differently.
Well, yeah, one thing is be very careful with who you do business with.
Mm,
Um, a lot of times when you have a vision and you expect or you suppose everyone else sees your vision,
Mm-hmm.
And it could be close people to you, but they probably really don't. But then you
Yeah.
really want to, you want them to be a part of this so much to where you just kind of like allow them to, get over it
Yeah.
pretty much. You
Yeah.
know what I'm saying? I think that's probably one of the biggest things that I could think of thus far
Yeah.
that has been, one of my biggest mistakes.
I'm curious how that came out. I imagine there was somebody who, the story that I typically hear is that there was a person who was saying all the right things, but the actions or just the body language or the vibe didn't match what they were saying, or they just weren't bought into the concept. How did you kind of figure it out? And two, how did you handle that situation?
Well, I'm a firm believer. Time always tells.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
Mm-hmm.
I don't have to be uh, I don't have to be Sherlock Holmes. I don't have to go on a hunting clue or a
Yeah.
hunting game to figure it out. But eventually, the person will do something
Mm-hmm.
to where it'll raise a red flag to you personally on what you guys feel as though you have created. And then when that flag is raised, you just have to be able to acknowledge it and accept it. A lot of times, that's the hard part is
Yeah.
accepting the red flag
Yeah.
because it's usually someone that's close to you, good friend, a family member or something like that, and you see it as like, okay, we've created something or I've created something, I want you to be a part of it. And the whole time they're like, yeah, 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 yeah,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, yeah. Okay, I'll do it just cause.
Yeah.
But if they come in there with that just cause attitude, like that's kind of very detrimental to a business that's trying to grow, expand, and really get off the ground.
Yeah. And especially for I think nonprofits that have like yours does, you have a very clear mission and vision. You know what you're going for. So you really do have to make sure that everybody who is working for you or involved with the Hezi Family Foundation is, they see the vision, they know what the purpose is, and they're all on board with it because it's really crucial. I think it's even more crucial for nonprofits, especially when you have people out there representing your nonprofit in the community. It's really, really important that everybody gets it and is speaking the same language.
Right.
Yeah. How do you make sure that people who work for you do get it and speak the same language? I mean, I'm sure it's evolved since you've started, but are there any a handful of, or maybe just two or three tips and tricks you've learned over the past year or so?
Um, well, I typically will hire people. I have people working with or for me,
Mm,
um, based off of experience of time in different situations I've dealt with them.
mm-hmm.
So I'm not so much into the okay, hey, I need such and such work, such and such amount of workers,
Yeah.
and I'm just gonna hire this person, this person. I'm not really into that. Anything that we do is planned out.
Mm-hmm.
Um, is pretty much geared to people that I know are living this lifestyle. So
Got it.
obviously dads,
Yeah.
obviously people who I see continuously or regularly either in their kids' life or trying to be in their kids' life.
Mm-hmm.
As long as you're within those lines, like I don't necessarily have to like you personally, you know. This isn't personal. I can't separate personal from business,
Yeah.
but you still do have to represent the mission.
Hey, you're watching the Game of Leadership. I'm the host, Julie B., and I'm here with Dee Booker today of the Hezi Family Foundation. And we were just talking about representing the business out there in the community. And I think that that's really, what you said about that, Dee, was really insightful. I want to switch gears just a little bit here and talk to you about the parallels between athletics and leadership and running a business. And what parallels have you seen from your athletic days playing college basketball to running this business? What have you seen as similar traits that you've needed to be successful, and any other similarities you've seen there?
Um, I mean, the old cliche saying, "There's no I in team."
Mm,
It takes a team on both sides, both sports as well as the business side.
mm-hmm.
Uh, Probably even more so on the business side because
Yeah.
you have one person who has the vision, right? And
Mm-hmm.
then you may have another person who has quote unquote the blueprint. And then you
Hmm.
may have another person who actually has the connections. You know, essentially all three of those things are necessarily needed for the business. Um, but none of them can work on their own.
Yeah.
You get me? You can
Yeah.
have a star player in the sports team and he can win you games.
Hmm.
The team may not be as good, but he can still win you games. But you need all three of those things to run that business and help that business flow, grow, and number one thing, be profitable.
So, what are you most proud of for your team in your business thus far? What have they done that you've just really been proud of?
Uh man, finding just like one of my great buddies, he's been with me through thick and thin. We actually have another business that we run together. And he was like, bro, I still just want to help out with the nonprofit. Like, I know we got this going on over here,
Hmm.
but I still want to help out. And he literally found us like our biggest partnership deal for the nonprofit.
Wow,
Really double backs and gives us a real good standing in the community. Um, so for that, I am extremely proud of him.
that's awesome.
Extremely proud.
And it's so important to have those trusted people when you are a business owner, a founder of a nonprofit, a business leader just in general, to have those people that you can count on who come through in the big ways like that. How important has your support network been to help you get this nonprofit off the ground? You mentioned your mentors a little bit earlier, and now you've mentioned this partner that you have. Talk a little bit about how your support network has really been crucial in helping you get to the point where you are today.
Um, I don't even think I can put into words how much their support means and how much of a help it has been.
Hmm.
Like I told you, my mentors on one aspect, my mentors have extremely, extremely helped me through various situations,
Hmm.
from a mental aspect, like
Yeah.
um this is it's kind of crazy that you asked me this because I never really sat down and thought about it,
Hmm.
but like I tell them all the time, I'm very appreciative of what they've done. And
Hmm.
they'll be like, man, I'm just being me. I'm just bringing the best out of you. That's what they always say. I'm bringing the
Hmm.
best out of you. And I appreciate that, like, to the utmost. As far as my business partner goes, like, man, me and him have been through some situations to where without his support, I don't know what I would have done.
Yeah.
I can't say that I would be a business owner, I would be an entrepreneur today without his support.
Got it. Yeah, it's so important, and sometimes those individuals, just to have them normalize things for you with mentors
Right.
especially. I think when you go to them with a business problem and they're able to just say, yeah, this happens, it may suck,
Right. It's
whatever's
like,
happening may
okay, well,
really
it's not the
suck,
end
but
of the
they
world.
normalize
It's not the end of
it.
the world. Right. Like
Yeah.
when you bump your head in something, you think like, oh my gosh, how am I
Yeah.
gonna replace this, or how am I gonna get through this, or how am I
Hmm.
gonna cover this expense? And then they're like, bro, like it's all right. It happens.
Yeah,
Now you need to
absolutely.
do this. Now here's what you go do, and then you go do that. You come back like, oh, okay, yeah, you was right. Like,
It's
yeah.
amazing what happens when you ask for help. That's the one thing I think that I have a list of like 10 pieces of advice I would give new business owners, and asking for help early and often is at the top of that list every single time, because if you kind of have your mentors and your support network and you are smart about the people that you pick to be around you, there's going to be somebody in that group who has been through a situation that's close to, a challenging situation you may have. And so I think it's such a crucial thing to do, and do it early, because it will help you save time and money, especially if you listen and if you are willing to be vulnerable. There's an element there where you have to be open and you have to be vulnerable enough to say, I made this mistake, or I think I made this mistake, or I think I'm about to make this mistake. How do I get out of this, or how do I fix this thing that I've done, instead of letting it go?
It's really crazy that you say that because I mean that's literally what happened and
Mm-hmm.
why we're sitting here, virtually face to face.
Yeah.
Uh, I actually reached out to one of your old podcast attendees, which
Uh-huh.
was Max Martinez,
Yeah.
and just just reaching out to him like, hey Max, how you doing? can you help me out? I'm running into this issue with my nonprofit. And he's like, oh yeah, sure. Max, he's high
Yeah.
energy guy. Like, yeah, sure. I love to, man. What how can I help? Boom, boom, boom. And he just dives straight in, like, let me see your deck. Let me see this. Let me see mission statement. Let me see this. Da, da, da. Okay, now you need to go over here. You need to talk to this person. You need to talk to this person.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see if we can get you on a podcast here. And it's like all of these different doors just opened up just from me, literally, like you said,
Yeah.
just asking for help.
Yeah. And sometimes you don't even have to like know exactly what you need help with. Sometimes it's just I have been beating my head against the wall for 3 months with this, and it's just not working. What am I missing? What am I doing wrong? Because sometimes you're just so in it, you can't see it, and you need that perspective. That's the other thing that I think is so
Right,
crucial. You get that
right.
perspective from somebody else of, no, you're good, just keep going. Move this a little bit and move that a little bit, but you're on the right path. It's just you got to give it more time. Sometimes that perspective is really what you need more than anything else.
That is so true. Like having another trustworthy perspective that you can really feel confident in accepting,
Yeah.
very key.
Yeah. So, Dee, one thing I love to ask people who have competitively played sports at a high level is how is your definition of success today different than what it was when you were, playing competitively in college?
Ah, man. I mean, I will say this. I know this is on the record, but probably back in college, I was a way more selfish guy, solely because, I want the athletic success, which
Hmm.
comes with being the best on the team. It comes with going to the NBA. It comes with getting a high profile deal.
Yeah.
But in order to achieve those things, you really just have to cut a lot of people off and really tunnel vision dive into the gym, your reputation, your school, your program, all of that.
Mm.
Whereas we fast forward now, where I am a husband, a father, a community activist, a business owner, and it's like success to me is how I affect those around me now. Like,
Yeah.
am I making my neighbor's day better? Even if it's just by me saying hello and they crack a smile, we have a quick 2 minute conversation on a joke. That may have just uplifted him because we don't know what he left inside the house.
Hmm.
So it's more about now success is how I affect people around me in a positive manner.
Mm. And it's so interesting. There's this dynamic that flips, I think, with professional athletes and collegiate athletes, where it goes very quickly from it is really me before we, even though you're playing on a team. Like if you have all of these big goals, you do have to often put yourself first. You got to put your health first. You've got to put your mental health first. You've got to put, there's just so many things, deals and reputation, and there's so many things that it's just all about you, even though you are playing on a team. And then when they become business owners, almost every single one of them, there's almost like a relief to it of, oh my gosh, I get to focus on somebody other than me now. It becomes a we before me, and it's interesting to see. I can imagine how when you have to focus on yourself so much, how that can be almost grinding and cause burnout, especially if you are somebody who likes to help other people and you just don't have that, you don't have the time or the capacity to do it when you're focused on your athletic career. I'm wondering if you felt that when you were able to make that flip.
Have I ever experienced burnout? Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
Hmm.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. I would think everyone has at some point in time. My playing days between trying to pledge,
Mm.
be a student athlete as
Hmm.
well. Like we had 2 a day practices, then you got to go
Mm.
do your thing for your sorority, then you got to also be on top of class, and you still have to
Yeah.
remember to go to the calf on time to eat.
Yeah.
So, that will burn me out a lot. But as far as now, yeah, I've experienced a lot more burnout now.
As I lean to cough and get over my
uh,
cold. Yes. Yeah. I mean, but how does it? I guess burnout now is, I think it goes back to that burnout when you're an athlete is probably it's still so much focused on you, but like burnout now is, for me at least, there's this pressure of letting other people down, and I think that I feel like there's that. I firmly believe I have the highest expectations of myself out of anybody. But I feel like if I don't meet those expectations that I put on myself, I let other people down, and that can cause burnout. Yeah, it's just interesting how it's different when you're an athlete versus when you are a business owner. And do you have any insights into how that was different for you?
Um, I guess like you said, just knowing that I have other people depending on me
Yeah,
and it's not just all about me,
yeah,
that will cause me to not want to stop when I need to stop,
yeah,
or not take that break when I need to take that break.
yeah.
And eventually I'm going to crash. My youngest daughter was actually born on March the 1st, which is the same day as my oldest daughter's birthday. So my oldest and my youngest have the same
Mm,
birthday. They are 8 years apart. And this same day, we just so happened to be moving into our new apartment.
mm-hmm,
So I had one child's birthday, another child being born, and I had to move all of our things from one apartment to the other apartment.
mm,
To this day, I literally do not remember the birthday. I vaguely remember the birth.
mm-hmm.
I just remember waking up in the new apartment.
Yeah,
Like I completely just dove in because it was like you said, my wife is dependent on me because we have a brand new child that we need to
mm-hmm,
bring home. The crib
mm-hmm.
needs to be built, everything needs to be situated. I have to take care of her, I have to take care of the baby, I have to take care of the other kids that we have. I got a birthday that I'm supposed to, make sure her day is feeling special today, even though someone's coming to steal her shine. And so like that's probably the last time that I really think that I literally just burnt out. Like
Mm,
literally I sat in the car after I finished everything and I just remember waking up in my bed.
yeah. Yeah. And I mean, that is a typical. I've heard stories like that where you just kind of go into, I don't even know, it's like blinder mode, and you know what you need to do, and you just go into like adrenaline mode of you just get things done, and then you don't
Right.
remember 80% of what you did because it was
Right.
just, you were just running on adrenaline and stress and all of those things to just get it done. Yeah, that's a really normal experience. And it's interesting, isn't to me, it's always so interesting how when you run a business, we've all heard the term work life balance and work life, fill in the blank. And it's, I think, for business owners and people like yourself who have founded nonprofits, it's really hard to have balance. It's really hard to have that harmony. You almost have to make sure the things are integrated because your business is so much a part of your life, and your life is so, I mean, especially with what you're doing, your life is so much a part of your business. I'm wondering how you find that, like, integration. And the reason I'm asking that is your burnout story comes from your personal life. It doesn't come from, it didn't come from work. It came from
Right.
like three things or four things that were going on in your personal life. So how do you
Right.
find that integration of the two with what you do between your personal life and your business life? How do you balance that? How do you make sure that each is getting what it needs?
Um well I think that's kind of one of the main reasons as to why I started the
Mm,
nonprofit.
mm-hmm.
Um, so that I wouldn't necessarily have to differentiate work from life.
Got it.
You know, like I want everything to be able to commingle. So no, I don't want to get paid for being a dad.
Yeah.
No, that's not what I'm saying. But what I am saying is that if I have the ability to create something that generates money to help other
Mm-hmm.
people, as well as continue to live my lifestyle, like why wouldn't I do that? And
Yeah.
I'm not working. Like that's the goal. I thought, to
Mm-hmm.
do what you love and love what you do.
That should be the goal. Yeah, I think and it comes with its own set of challenges because sometimes it's like, oh my gosh, why am I doing this again? But then you remember why you're doing it. And I think that's you love, why you're doing what you do is so crucial. And you've
I,
definitely got that mission in
I could never
spades.
be I could never be one of those people, which is why I took the entrepreneurial route.
Mm-hmm.
That like, okay, I'm waking up every morning and I'm going to a place that I just hate,
Yeah.
or I'm going to a place that like the only reason why I'm coming here is because I know I'm going to get this check every other Friday.
Yeah,
You know, like to me, that's it's a miserable life. No,
absolutely.
not knocking anyone. You know,
No.
I you like it, I love it.
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, like if you have the ability to do something that doesn't require as much stress that you enjoy doing, like
Mm-hmm.
I'm pretty sure you enjoy talking and meeting new people.
Absolutely. Love it.
So, you know what I'm saying? So you have a
Yeah.
podcast. Like
Yeah.
that's to me, that's work life balance right
Mm-hmm.
there. You figured out how to be at work but still live your life,
Yeah.
you know? And once you figure that out or you come up with a plan for that, then I don't think the balance or the scale necessarily matters.
Mm.
Because one day I may be completely just I'm not taking any phone calls, I'm not sending any emails, I'm not networking anybody. I'm totally with my family all day today. But
Yeah.
even from that, I may generate some content or
Mm-hmm.
like I may excuse me, I may generate content. I may be able to teach my son something that he can go teach his peers or something like that, or
Yeah.
whatever the case may be. But then that could still be used as work.
Yeah. Absolutely. Well, Dee, I have so appreciated this conversation. It's just been a great conversation. Your insights and your passion for your nonprofit it really shines through. And I wanted to thank you for being here today. But as we're coming to the end of this conversation, I do have one other question I want to ask you. What legacy do you hope to leave?
Ah, I hope to leave a legacy of a loving husband, loving father, a person who went against adversity and never stopped trying.
That is a great, that would, yeah, that's a fantastic legacy to leave, Dee. And I am, you are well on your way to doing that. So I just want to thank you again for the conversation. And I know our listeners are going to learn a lot from this. Why don't you share with the listeners where people can learn about your foundation?
Yes, you guys can find us on Instagram at the Hezi Family Foundation, INC. Um, that's really much the only social media that we have at the moment.
Mm-hmm.
You can also look us up. We just did a partnership deal with PGK Clubhouse, stands for Promised Land Global Kids. We have an educational app that is coming out very soon. So you guys can be on the lookout for that.
All right. Well, Dee, thank you again for being on the show. And that is it for this episode. But stay tuned because I'll be back with more conversations and leadership lessons from athletes turned entrepreneurs. I'm Julie B, and thank you for playing the game of leadership.